All right, the mission for today, this is our mission right here. I have this one rear strut. This is for the rear of the vehicle. So if you saw the other video, I showed you how the front struts, the top hats were destroyed on this vehicle, and we swapped them out and I repaired them, and they're installed now in the vehicle. Now I have to move my way to the rear. So here we are at the rear tire, and let me show you what's going on. This side is good, and let me show you. I could pull up on this wheel and there's no movement. There's no movement left to right. The hubs are good, and the suspension is nice and tight. It's in good working order. Let me show you the other side. Okay, when we come to this side, we could push and pull the hub, and there's no movement, and there's no movement like this either. But when I push up and down, you can see there's a lot of play here. So I have discovered, and I can see it in here, this strut is gone. Now, the vehicle did not come this way. This was done by my famous Speed Racer. So now this car was driven for a year and a half by Speed Racer. And when I mean Speed Racer, I don't mean this guy. Not this guy. Bro.
Look at the back seats, man. Look at the back seats.
So he drove it for a whole year and a half, and he took pretty decent care of the vehicle. But I have discovered underneath there was some damage, and we're gonna go check that out right now. So let's go check out what happened. So somehow my friend hit something right in here. You can see this big hole, and he scraped all along the bottom. This hole was not here, okay? I inspected the car before I gave it to him, and he scraped all along the bottom, and somehow, I guess, he hit something in this rear tire, and the struts are destroyed now. Or it's bad, so I don't know what happened. So you can see there's a boo-boo there too. Other than that, everything looks pretty decent. He didn't really hit too many things. I don't know what happened here. And right here, right in the side skirt, you can see there's a scrape. So who knows what the heck he hit. When this car came up on Marketplace, I wasn't even looking for a car, to tell you the truth. I didn't need a car, but my son was getting ready to start driving for the first time, and I saw it and I was like, why not? It's a nice looking car. I like the Z's. I used to have a 300ZX. This, I mean, after he's done with it, and if he doesn't destroy it, then I'll just build it into a track car. And that's basically what's happening right now. So I build him that car. I build him that G37, and that's his daily now. You can see it looks pretty good. You know, it is basically a 370Z, but it's a G37. It looks really nice. So I built him that car. But now that he has the G37 to drive, I could turn this into a track car. Because of course, I didn't want to put too much power, and I didn't want to give him a vehicle that it was going to be too much car for him. Even though you could argue that a 370Z is a lot of car for a person, you know, when you're first starting to drive, but he did pretty good. Other than that I just showed you underneath, he did really good. No bumps, no crashes, he did really good. I'm impressed and I'm happy. And that's why I built him that G37. But the car I am gonna be competing against is this Mazda Miata. So if you guys have seen the videos, we turned this into a turbo Miata. And we still have to paint the car, and we have a lot of little things to do, but this car is really quick now. It's really fast. And we're gonna be comparing the Mazda Miata versus the 370Z. We're gonna start with the autocross at first, and then we're gonna move our way up to the track. We're gonna take it to Sebring and see how they both perform. So we're gonna run some shakedowns on the autocross. There's gonna be things that's gonna pop up that we're gonna have to upgrade for sure on both cars. But when you're building a track car, you're seeking balance. You're looking for stopping power, you're looking for handling, and you're looking for reliability. So that's what we're going to concentrate on the Z, and that's what we're going to concentrate on the Turbo Miata. We're going to make these cars handle, stop, and be as reliable as possible. We're not looking for high horsepower numbers. We're not going in the straights. We're going to be turning and accelerating and really testing the limits of these vehicles. And I'm trying to convince Giovanni to track this car against the 370Z so we could compare both of them, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to ruin it, he said. So maybe if you guys comment below and encourage that, I could convince him to take it out to the track. I already told him whatever breaks, I'll pay for it. but he does not want to ruin it. He says it's not really a track car, and I don't blame him. It looks really good the way it sits, and he wants to keep it that way. But now let's go ahead and take apart the rear suspension, and I'm gonna check everything. I'm gonna check the ride height. I measured it before, how it was sitting, and it was pretty even, but I'm gonna double check everything because you saw what we found out in the front. They were destroyed, and I just wanna make sure everything is even. And then after I install that, then I have to adjust the ride height to the proper ride height, because if you go too low on these cars, you're gonna throw off the roll center, and then you have a car that doesn't handle as good as it should. So later on, I'll explain more of that, but now we're just gonna concentrate on removing the suspension. All right, guys. Let me show you what I have discovered, and it's pretty disturbing. So first we're gonna start with the struts, and then we're gonna move our way towards the springs. So here we go. Here's the struts. This is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side. Check this out. Look at the difference, guys. What is going on here? Huh? Once again, we have uneven adjusted coilovers. Once again. Now, yes, this is not like the ones in the front. These have the springs separated from the strut, but still, these are adjustable down here, okay? Whenever you guys are doing this, make sure to adjust them evenly, okay? This will affect how your car behaves. So let's say this one has a lot more travel than this guy because of the length that it has. So it's gonna start to act differently because it's reaching the end of its movement all the way to the bottom. It's reaching the end of its travel, and then it starts to get a little bit harder than this guy. So one side will behave differently than the other. This is very important when you're setting up your coilovers. If you're spending $1,000 for these, okay, these are 1,200 bucks. Make sure you get it installed properly. Look up how to do this. Take your time and measure, or just eyeball it. Look, this is way off. Even if I was to sit here and adjust it manually, okay, I would be able to do a better job than this. I don't know what happened here. They probably installed one side and then they installed the other, and they didn't even think about this process. They just went ahead and just did it, which is not any good. So that's the struts. Now let's see this. So this sits in the bottom of the control arms, and this is what determines your ride height, because your springs sit right in here. So this whole contraption in the bottom adjusts your ride height. Now, it's off, not by much, it's only off by a millimeter or so, and I measured it, but I'm gonna put these together and I'm gonna zoom in on the camera so you can see it's just off by a little hair. Okay, so I have the caliper here and I'm gonna measure this side, okay? This is the shorter side. And then now that I have the length, I'm gonna zero it in, and then I'm gonna measure the other side. Here is the difference in length. So it's just 1.50 millimeters. That's not that much, it's just very small. This strut is bad, and we're gonna check out the strut that's bad. And let me see if I could observe the difference. So this one was rebounding very easily. You know what I should check is the level of softness that it has. That's probably something I should go and do. I'm gonna check the level of softness, the rebound and dampening. So there are some struts that you can adjust rebound and dampening separately, and those are the step ups from this. If you want to fine tune your vehicle and really tune it properly, that's what you should upgrade to. And eventually I will go to that setup on this vehicle, but for right now, we're just gonna make work with what we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and count the dampening levels. It's 19, okay? We're gonna see where we're at on this one. So we have 19, and we're gonna go soft again. 2, 3, 16. So we have 16 and we have 19. Two different levels. It's off by a little bit. It's not off by a lot, but it's still off. So again, it will make the vehicle handle erratic. So one is softer than the other, big difference. So I have it completely soft right now. We can see how easy it is for me to push down on the strut. And it's a little bit harder on this one. And that's why we're gonna replace them, because they're not even. This one is a lot softer. This is the one that I showed you in the video, in the beginning of the video, that it was really soft and we had some movement on the wheels. Let's bring the new one up here and see if we could notice the difference. So I have the new one here, and I have to remove the adjusting nut in the top. This is so you could change the levels of dampening and rebound. So I'm gonna have to remove it and put it completely to soft to see if we could compare all three struts. We're gonna compare to see, maybe perhaps this one is bad and it's too stiff, but I don't think that's the situation. I think that this has somewhat of a leak, and you can see it's been through some abuse, and perhaps it's because the unevenness. Perhaps it got damaged because this one has lived a harder life, dampening a lot lower, having to dampen a lot lower, because both of these were the same height, okay? Both wheels were about the same height, but this one had to travel a lot further down, and it's damaged because of that. Okay, now let's press this down, and that's pretty hard. I mean, I don't have leverage like I have on these, but it's pretty stiff to be able to push down. Okay, let's do this one, and it feels just as stiff as this one. We're gonna do this one. This is the bad one. This is the one I suspect that's bad. And it's cake. This one's really easy to be able to do this. So this one's obviously bad. We gotta take this all apart and rebuild it. I wasn't sure the condition that the bump stops were gonna be in, so I ordered 4 of them, but it looks like they might be in decent shape. I have them, I might just put them in, or I might use the old one. I don't know. I would have to take this one apart as well, and it looks like it's in decent shape. So I also bought 2 more boots to cover the strut. So whenever these get damaged like this, you could order all these parts at BC. I went to bcracing.com. I believe that's a website. I went into their website and I ordered all these parts. So if you ever run into this situation where you have to rebuild your struts from BC's, you could go into the website and just pick up the parts. You could pick up whatever you need and rebuild them. You don't necessarily have to buy struts all over again or the whole set of coilovers all over again. You could piece them together and rebuild them. So it's nice that they have that ability that it lets you fix whatever you need to fix and not spend a ton of more money. So I don't know if you guys can see, I'm using the air jack right now, and I did a review on this when I first got it, and I was trying to show you guys how it works to raise up the vehicle, and I'm using it right now to push up on this lower control arm to be able to set the spring in there. So it works really nice. I'm controlling it here from the floor, and I'm able to put pressure up on this control arm. So yeah, I like it so far. So I have installed the suspension back on, and you can see I'm sitting on the cribs. Now, I didn't do one thing. I did not tighten the lower control arm. Let me show you. So when I removed the spring from here, I loosened this bolt right here, okay? I loosened that lower control arm bushing. So I didn't tighten it yet because I wanted to make sure that all of the weight was sitting on the chassis, was sitting on that control arm. Because if I was to tighten it while the suspension's up in the air and it's hanging down, and I tighten it and then the suspension settles back up, that bushing will live a very hard life. So it would fail very quickly because, you know, it would be tightened wrong. So this is a tip that I'm giving you guys. First, try to settle down the suspension if you can. Sometimes you can't because you're on the floor and this car's so low, but you could sometimes raise it up with a jack on the wheel. You should raise it up, have the suspension loaded on the control arm, either the lower control arm or the upper control arm. It works for both. And then torque it down. You do that and everything will last a lot longer and it would ride better. It would actually, those bushings won't be binded up. It would be set just right. It would be set perfectly. Alright guys, that's all the time we have for this video. I was hoping I was going to be able to show you how to adjust the right height and the perfect right height, but we ran out of time. So in the next video, I am in the middle of making this model, and it has control arms, upper and lower control arms, and they're going to be adjustable. So with this model, once it's done, I'm going to be able to show you the roll center and the center of gravity and how they relate to each other, and how by you lowering your vehicle a little bit too much, it could affect your roll center and you could end up with a car that doesn't handle as good as it should. So I am in the middle of building this model for you guys so I could better explain how this works and why I'm not going to slam everything to the floor, because it's going to throw the whole geometry of the suspension out of whack and it's not going to handle properly. So remember, we're going for balance here, and the best way I could balance this vehicle is to make sure everything is tuned just right. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.